Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you happen to be in the world, and welcome back to the Rebel Reject Create podcast, where we dive into all things creativity. And today, my guest is Myriam Hadnes, who, wow, we met before Corona a few times, and she is a facilitation evangelist who's trying to turn the world into a more collaborative place. Welcome, Myriam.
Thank you, David. Good to see you back.
Yeah, it's been a while. What I'm curious about, because I facilitate as well, but I wouldn't be so bold as to say I'm anywhere in your league. But as a facilitator, you sometimes I feel like a stand-up comedian, like improvising all the time.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you're in a position to be able to do that whenever you facilitate?
Mm, love that question. I think it starts with three things. Three things I think are fundamental. One is to be prepared.
Hmm.
So knowing what I'm stepping into, what's the purpose? Why are these people there? What did they sign up for? And what is my role? Am I coming in as a facilitator, a trainer, a coach, an advisor?
Hmm.
Or a stand-up comedian. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have hired me for that. Um, so one is purpose and preparation. Second is feeling safe enough.
Hmm.
So confident, secure. And I think this is different for everyone. For me, I do need some preparation and do need to know who the people are so that I can feel safe.
Right.
And with that, I think the confidence to be authentic.
Hmm.
So I don't need to pretend to have it all figured it out.
Yeah.
So the more I can own that, the easier I can say, you know what? What I prepared doesn't work. Let's do something else.
Right. Right. I like that. I've had to do that once or twice. But I want to talk about the safety issue because I think this is something that's super underrated. And people in business talk about culture a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I hear people talking about culture, the first thing I think about is psychological safety.
Mm.
What do you mean exactly about safety in a facilitation environment? And how do you go about making people feel safe?
Mm. Yeah. So when I speak about safety, it's exactly the psychological safety.
Hmm.
And what I understand by that is that everyone, including myself, so including the facilitator, feels safe enough to um, let me turn it around. That we don't take things personally, so we don't become defensive
Ah,
if some issues are raised.
right.
Because I don't think that it's about sitting in a circle sharing our childhood traumata. I
Hmm.
don't think that this is about it. I think it's about the fact that if I suddenly don't know and someone asks me a question, that I can go, huh, that's a good question. Let's explore that. Whereas if I don't feel safe, I will have a tendency to go, this is not what we're talking about
Hmm.
today. So let's stick to the purpose. Maybe you can put this on the parking lot, or well, you should know that.
Right.
So if we don't feel safe, we become defensive, whatever comes up.
Right.
So for me, psychological safety means that we can be good with sharing that we don't know and being
Yeah.
ourselves as much as possible.
Right. I mean, when you say that, I mean, I'm sorry to keep on going on about stand-up comedy, but it sounds like the first rule of stand-up. Yes, and.
Yes, yes, 100%.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, and second rule of stand up is no, of improv is make your partner look good.
Right.
Right? So
Oh, that's
it's you're
cool.
supporting the part even if you might disagree, but you're not using it against them.
Right. Okay. So for you to do that day in, day out, you've got to be pretty comfortable stepping into a space where you're not going to always have the answers.
Mm.
I mean, can you practice that?
Huh. Um, yeah, that's a good question. Can you practice not having the answer? I wonder whether it's rather the practice of accepting ourselves for not having the answer.
Yeah.
So, because there's people will react to us differently if we don't have the answer, depending on how we show up. So, if
Yeah.
I come into the space as the arrogant, I know it all, I come here to teach you something, and then they ask me something, and I say, yeah, and then I don't know, they will react differently as someone who comes in with some humility, but confidence,
Yeah.
and then curiosity. And then there's a third case where someone just is maybe reckless and doesn't have the expertise
Yes.
and then doesn't have the answer because maybe they didn't do their homework.
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, this fascinates me because it's, from a creativity perspective, you have to be able to step into this in-between space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, I'm starting to call it like the abyss. Here's the known, and then over here's the
Mm-hmm.
unknown, and you have to like dive in the middle there to go and figure it out, and that requires you to let go of what you thought you knew.
Yeah. And I think as a facilitator, even it's not so much about what we know, but
Mm,
it's how do we help the group to step into that space because it's
right.
more about them kind of giving up everything they know.
Yeah.
And I think they're the most, and then back to stand up comedy, um, is authenticity, not trying to please,
Right.
and leading by example. I think the worst comedian is someone who tries to be funny and to please the audience, and they
Yeah.
lose all respect immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, that is quite difficult, isn't it? This letting go of certainty,
Mm-hmm.
what we know and what we already think. Um, I mean, we're quite hooked up on that stuff, aren't we? Like certainty.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
what do you do?
terrifying.
What do you
It's terrifying.
do to help people let go?
Mm. I think, hmm, if I approach it from the way that we get attached to certainty out of fear.
Hmm.
And when we are fearful, we go into our nervous system is alert and we are not creative, right?
Yeah.
So we cannot think out of the box if we're in survival mode. In order to give up uncertainty means that we do need to feel safe. So step out of survival mode.
Yeah.
So explaining explaining maybe the edges of the canvas. So what is it we know? Why don't we need to know? Why is it good to let go of what we already know?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? What's on the other side? So what is here to gain?
Yes. And I think that's really difficult sometimes, isn't it? Because even in the act of working with the same material, people are going to take different things away. And so you can't just say, well, let go of this because you'll get this out, because you
Mm-hmm.
don't know that.
Mm, yeah. Um, I I'm thinking of Mark Walsh, and he gave a great example, and I'm not sure whether I can replicate it, but
It doesn't have to be word for word.
so the image was that if someone has a cup of tea and you want them to try the coffee, right? You won't take away the tea first, telling them that they will receive coffee. You give them the cup of coffee and then you take away the tea.
Yeah,
So this is one way to approach it instead
right.
of, so how can we make it comfortable? How can we get them used to a new reality? And
Hmm.
then it's easier to let go the old reality.
Right. Sort of bridging
Yeah.
from the one over to
Yeah.
the
I
other.
think this
Right.
could be one. And then it always depends on the context, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. So you're juggling that all the time. Context, people's either willingness or reluctance to let go, to this need to create safety. Now, all of those things are pretty much preconditions for creative thinking. Do you consider yourself to be a creative person?
Mm. Um, Maybe it took 40 years to embrace the fact that I'm creative, that
Right.
and that I'm not creative in a way that people would usually. So
You're not an
the
artist.
standards. I'm not an artist. I cannot draw. Um, and I think I'm creative in the sense that I take existing ideas and I put them together in a new way.
Mm,
I see an online tool. I'm like, huh, we could use it for something totally different.
yeah, exactly. Which actually, if you really look at it, is what everybody who's creative does. I mean, that's what Picasso was doing with three dimensions on a flat plane and so on and so on.
Yeah.
It's remarkable that we don't typically understand that.
Mm.
It's very focused on the myths, the art, the rock and roll, the actors, or what have you, and everything else that we do, this remarkable capacity to join the dots. No, no, I'm not creative.
Yeah. I wonder where this comes from, I guess. Childhood conditioning.
Well, according to Sir Ken Robinson, the way we are educated plays a very large role in it.
Mm.
Do you run into that with your work? I mean, you're probably, right, you're dealing with adults 90% of the time who've come out of an education system, and they're probably expecting you to, I don't know, give them a lecture or something. And there you are going, oh no, 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 we're going to experience this and we're going to do stuff together. And it's going to require you to step out of your corner.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of resistance?
Mm. No,
Wow. Why not? What do you do?
I think so. Different layers. So I think the what I'm asking my groups mostly to give up are beliefs and beliefs about human interactions. So in my workshop, I speak a lot about it's a lot about psychological safety and feedback culture. So
Yeah,
these kind of things. So I rarely do strategy workshops
right.
and these kind of things. And what I experienced is that so even for the craziest things that you do, people usually do what you ask them to do.
Right. You ask them a question, they try and think of an answer.
Exactly. You tell them to play with Lego or with Playmobil or to draw a picture, they usually do it unless or as long as you are confident in your
Mm,
um in your instructions and that they know why or they trust that you know that there's a reason for doing this.
wow. And yet people go to work every day and have no idea why. It's weird, isn't it?
And that's why they're maybe not creative and not getting out of their box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because if they knew why, I can imagine that suddenly they would also think of different ways to solve the problem or maybe interact with other people or be a little bit more proactive.
yeah. It's such a perspective changer, isn't it? This understanding of the purpose of what we are doing.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. What
I
is your
was
experience?
Well, I think that one of the first things I always do is check in with everybody about why they're actually here. What are
Mm,
your assumptions? What are you expecting? What do you actually want to take away at the end of this session? Why are you here? Because especially when you're working with organizations, sometimes people are sent. They did not volunteer. And that can be tricky because maybe they don't actually want to be there.
mm, yeah.
But, if you can pull that out and then go, well, these are the ways we are going to meet, or at least try very hard to meet your needs for this session, then that helps so much. People immediately go, oh, okay, so it's not cut and paste, and I can show up and we can talk, and then it's all right.
Yeah.
But there's always that one person who just doesn't care. They just don't want to be there, and they're gonna try their best to sabotage everything for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Although
then
those are
it's
very useful people to have in a group.
very true. And I think usually once they have permission that it's okay not that they don't want to be there, then the little rebel gets a little bit more silent or
Yeah,
comforted.
it's got nothing left to push it back.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So for you as a facilitator, I would imagine that you kind of require people to respond creatively in a facilitated environment.
Hmm. No,
No?
I think, and maybe that's the biggest difference. So I think one of the biggest beginner's mistake, I would
Mhm.
say, of facilitator, I got that a lot when I hosted facilitation training, especially for internal facilitators. The first question I get is how how can I help them to have better ideas? Their ideas are not good enough. We do a
Oh,
brainstorm and they don't come up with good ideas.
yeah.
There's so much judgment in there.
Yeah.
So the first question I ask them is your prompt good enough?
Yeah.
Because if you ask them a boring question, of course you get boring ideas back.
Yep.
Don't blame them. Um, if
Right.
you push too hard and if it's either too abstract or too boring, if it's not relatable, or if they don't feel safe, of course they don't come up with good ideas.
Right.
And then who are we to judge whether the idea is good or not?
I love the fact you use the word prompt because it is like prompting an AI as well, isn't it? I mean, if you put in rubbish, you're going to get rubbish
Exactly.
out.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Okay. Um, what for you is the most important skill at the moment? If you look around you in the world and look at your work, what do people really need to be paying attention to and getting better at?
Nervous system regulation.
That's an interesting answer. Explain.
So we spoke about psychological safety.
Yes.
So when our nervous system is not regulated, means we're in constant fight, flight, freeze, fawn, please, whatever mode.
Hmm.
And if we don't feel safe, our nervous system is overstimulated. We don't have capacity for compassion
Wow.
because we're in survival mode. Everything that counts is I need to survive. And if we don't have space for compassion, we don't have space for creative thinking. We cannot listen, at
Wow.
least not to the words and the ideas. No, the only thing we can listen to, are you trying to kill me? Yes or no?
Right. Can I kill
So,
this or must I run away?
and I notice it in myself when I am stressed and I bike through Amsterdam, every pedestrian, every other bike is just an enemy.
Yep.
You are in my way.
Yep.
uh, well, when I'm in a good place, I'm like, oh, I can actually ride around the pedestrians. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, another tourist. They don't know the rules. Eh? And I'm compassionate with them not knowing the rules.
Right.
And
Wow.
when I look around me in the work that I do with corporates, I would say 90% are in constant overstimulation. When they want to give feedback to their peers hear it as a threat
Mm.
and not as a support. So I think, yeah, if we would learn to regulate our nervous system and to feel safe again,
Right.
then all the rest.
Kind of follows on from
Mm.
there, including creative thinking and everything. So what am I thinking about here? What would be like the top line that I need to take care of in order to regulate?
Mm. Um, breathe.
Breathe.
so,
Yeah,
so
always.
um, I start many workshops with a collective stretch to get into our bodies, and everyone feels a little bit so. Okay, if you can, get
Mm,
out of your chair and just stretch your body a little bit. We sometimes forget that we have a body.
mm.
Um, so this already gets them into, oh, yeah, I'm here as a full human. then I give them permission to um, do whatever they need to feel okay. So if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, just eat. Um, if you're overwhelmed and have to go off camera, turn the camera off, but know that it's nicer to have you on. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
slowing down the pace.
Right. Yeah. I struggle with that one. Always going too fast.
Yeah, and this is, I think, that's an art. So sometimes we don't have time, and I realize that the less time you have, the slower you need to speak as a facilitator.
Yeah. That makes an awful kind of sense. Yeah.
And it's difficult. And then if we speak slowly, we only have to say it once.
Yes.
Otherwise, we forget the full stop and then we ramble and then we explain it again, but in other words. And then we want to make sure. And then we see that we have lost the people and we see in their body language that they are not tuned anymore. And then we explain more and then we do a little break. And
Yeah.
then we lost them all.
Then we've lost them all. Oh dear. Thank you, Miriam. I mean, you've given me some real food for thought here. What for you is the big takeaway? What's the most important thing, like when you're talking about a more collaborative future? What do you think about? What is the thing that we need to, as a collective, like a species almost, what do we really want to be moving towards? What can we practice?
Mm. Being more human with each other.
Yeah.
So I speak a lot about unprofessionalism these
Mm,
days. And for me, unprofessionalism is the ability to show what's behind the professional mask.
yeah.
And I think to collaborate, we need to acknowledge that we have complementary talents. So, in order to see that we have complementary talents, we have to admit that we don't have all the talents. So,
Yeah.
there are things that we don't know and that we're not good at.
Hmm.
Great. Then we find someone else who is.
Right.
But it
Yeah.
starts with this, hey, I'm not good at everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And then the asking for help, um, curiosity.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think if someone comes across as a know-it-all, I know it all, I've been there, I've done that, I have all these degrees, I am so smart. I'm not asking questions, I'm only telling. Who wants to collaborate with them?
Hmm. There is no room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not who they are, it's just protection because they feel insecure, uncertain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when I'm regulated, I see all of that. When I'm dysregulated, I think, what an arrogant, right?
Yeah. No, that's great. Miriam, thank you so much for your time. That was extremely insightful and completely not what I was expecting to talk about, which makes it even better. For everybody who's watching the show, in the show notes, you'll be able to see all of the links for Miriam and her works. If you want to find out more about facilitation and about being unprofessional, you can check out her links. And to you, Miriam, thanks so much for coming along on the show.
Thank you, David. And
All
thank you for
right.
your questions.
It's a pleasure. And to all of you listening, don't forget to get out there and rebel against the status quo, reject your assumptions so you've got space to create something new. Until next time.